2024 is turning out to be definitely a vintage, that's for sure. And also looking forward to the next few months. Could it also be the year where we see even more major developments take place? But I think it's important to remember that whilst there is new tech, we must also bear in mind that for many brands, it has been a story of the step-by-step evolution of some already fantastic products. In this video, I'm going to outline some of the key developments which are very much milestones in the world of eMTB, and others which place them very much at the head of the curve. I'll be looking at e-bike systems, including drive units and batteries, the software and personalities of the motors, as well as the key bikes, frame materials, and notable advances in handling. I just want to point out, we're not actually suggesting here that they are the best, simply that they are important for the reasons which I'll highlight. Right, so in absolutely no particular order, beginning with the Nicolai Saturn 16 with the pinion MGU and Gates drive. Now, this is a bike which was launched in May this year at Riva del Garda. Now, the reason for my choice here is it's actually one of the best eMTBs featuring the pinion motor gearbox unit and the Gates drive. It's very much a story of mountain bike brand meeting brands with huge automotive know-how head on. I mean, there's nothing special here, nothing new there, I should say, except that nobody's actually delivered anything quite like this. Electronic shifting and shifting under load, a wear-free system, 160 Newton meters, no derailleurs or cassettes to worry about, and a service interval of 10,000 kilometers. Now, obviously, it's more than that. The descending quality of the bike arrived at by the careful weight distribution and the silent, which is quite a revelation. The build quality, suspension design, battery capacity, all adding to making it probably one of the most unique and striking e-bikes ever. Okay, next up, the Canyon Strive Unlimited, the bike which Fabian Brel took to world victory. Now, I've chosen the Strive because it's a truly brilliant example of geometry done well. This bike has balanced geometry, which makes it a really brilliant descender and also a fantastic climber as well. So with 170mm travel up front, it deserves to be driven hard, especially with that Bosch CX Race Limited Edition motor and a 750 watt-hour battery. It's a fantastic all-round bike. Obviously, the vital statistics then, which I talked about, talking head angle, seat-tube angle, chainstay, reach, and bottom bracket offset. Head angle 62.5, seat-tube angle 78, chainstay 445, and a reach and size large of, I think it's 500. Oh, and a minus 25 BB offset. But the Strive is more than that. I'm actually going to include the lower end bike here because I believe that the Underdog version, I think it's softer. I prefer the feel of it in certain situations. And the price for the Underdog, I mean, let's face it, is £3,819. So two fantastic examples there. Next up is the Kelly's F100. I've literally just come back off a ride on this bike. It is said to be the lightest, longest range, full power eMTB in the world. I mean, this bike has to make the cut, right? So we're looking at a strong motor, high capacity battery, and low weight. The things that make that happen, the components that make that happen, Shimano EP801, 820 watt-hour battery and 20.6 kilos. The frame material is quite unique in that it has been designed in collab with a hypercar manufacturer. It's carbon aramid. And the geometry on this bike is truly outstanding for 140mm travel. And I think it proves that the suspension design as well, obviously linked to it, that less can often be more. It's an absolutely stunning bike. Right, Orbea Rise is next up. I'm a massive fan of this bike. It's partly the custom package offered by Orbea that makes this one a favourite, and also the price. The alloy version of this bike is around about €5,000. Now, the bike comes in long travel, 150, 160, or a shorter travel version, and has podiumed an e-Enduro World Cup. But more than anything, I've chosen this bike because of its handling and its compliance. It's plush and it's progressive, and it is an absolute flying machine. Right, Whyte EOne-Sixty. So why have I chosen this bike? Right, all I'm going to say is that go and ride a Whyte bike. There is simply nothing like it in terms of suppleness. The grip levels on a Whyte bike is simply outstanding. I'll leave it at that. Right, number 6 on my list, remember it's not in no particular order, is the Merida EOne-Sixty. So what's the story here then? It's very much about long travel, lightweight and high torque. Yes, it's got the new Shimano EP801 motor, and yes, there are many contenders that have this system. But for me, we have a bike which is 22 kilos, 174 mil travel with components that are up for the job. There's no kidding you guys with fake lightweight parts on this bike. It is an all-round package. And very key for the decision, it's got lively suspension. There's very few bikes that will deliver this kind of performance down as well as up. And talking about long range, long travel, the number 7 in the list is the Canyon Torque On. Now, this has got the Shimano motor and is all about downhill performance. I mean, the Canyon Torque 180 mil travel, EP801 motor. I mean, is there any other bike in the world that has a 900 watt-hour battery with that amount of travel? Right, turn our attention now to the Raymon Tarok. As many of you guys might have seen, the ZF Centrix drive was launched in Eurobike this year. It's very exciting. I've had a brief outing on this bike and I'm very excited about it, partly because of the people behind the brand, Susie and Felix Puello, who are very much pioneers of the sport, but also the possibilities here in terms of power and reliability by way of that ZF Centrix drive. And of course, a bike with great finish and great handling. It's pretty mouth-watering, I have to say. And then, of course, the AMflow DJI. Is this the bike that actually has everything? Well, quite possibly. But I know what you're thinking, so I'll keep this one short. Look, I've been riding a prototype version of this bike for over a year, and I know what this bike is capable of. 800 watt hours, 120 newton meters, sub 20 kilos. Communication channels at play here, which are incredible. Probably the biggest statement of the year, and arguably ever in the world of eMtb. So that's 9. I found it difficult to make the 10. These are some of the bikes which I think could be in the mix. Santa Cruz Heckler SL, beautifully handling bike with lower torque. What else have we got? Giant Stance, which we took to Scotland last year, £3,500. Great handling, motor and range on that bike. Talking about motors and handling, I think the Yamaha Moro, just a shade over £4,000. Wow, what a motor that bike is, PWX3. Lapierre GLP3, that's a bike which was developed by Nico Vulliers, definitely a bike which I'd like to get a ride on. Not talking about Panasonic, honestly the Flyer Uprock is a great example of that bike. Crestline, long travel, again long travel bikes not ridden. One bike which I have ridden actually is the Markor with the Bafang motor which I rode out in Shanghai earlier this year. That is a really, really good bike, very much underrated. Whyte Decoy, 700 watt hour battery. You've got the new SN bike, which is lower torque, which I'll hopefully get my leg over quite soon. And finally, I think the Gas ECC with the WP suspension. I think the possibilities of that brand coming in eMtb is quite exciting. So there you go, folks. Like I said, it's a list of what I believe to be important bikes of the moment. I'm not suggesting that they are the best bikes. I'm sure you guys might have some bikes which you think might need to go in the mix for various reasons, but I think they are standouts for the reasons that I've outlined. I'm going to leave you with one thing. I've literally just come back from a ride on the Kelly's F100. Kelly say that it's the lightest, longest range full power bike on the market. I've literally just done 40 kilometers and 1700 meters of climbing on that bike, and in kind of heart rate 3 and heart rate 4. So that is an incredible amount of range. And I think 8 years ago we were talking about the power hour. We're now talking about the power 3 hour, because I was out for about two and 3/4 hours on that bike in full boost mode. So it's I think it's a great example of how far we've come in the world of eMTB. So there you go, folks. 10 bikes, and well, actually 9 bikes with some which are still in the mix, but I still think that there could be, in the next 3 months of the year, other developments take place. Thanks for watching, and see you soon.